I'm glad that people haven't forgotten how good Kamaru Usman was. And as much as I started watching MMA around the time when Leon sent him to the Shadow Realm, I still thought he was a very good fighter. And with the way he used to ragdoll his opponents, who wouldn't? One might attribute that to his collegiate wrestling background, and while I think that definitely played a role, comparing him to his counterparts, there's a clear edge he has, and that's sheer girth. If I looked like him, I would voluntarily become a slave. You could miss me with the house nigga privileges, I'm going full Kunte Kinte mode. Matter of fact, scratch that. That's not the name Massa gave me. I'm Toby, and Toby be good nigga.
Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga. Don't send Toby away.
Before I continue, I'd like to let you guys know that I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate every single one of you that have interacted with my channel. But some of you have been watching for some time, yet still haven't subscribed. So if you don't mind, I really would appreciate it. And if you don't, I'm going to sell you into slavery. There seems to be this narrative that Kamaru Usman is washed, and looking at his age and record in his last 4 fights, it's pretty hard to argue against it. But these losses need context. If Kamaru Usman was fighting right outside of the rankings, the performances he would be putting up would be equivalent to that of an undefeated prospect. The higher you climb up in the rankings, the more competitive it gets, and you can't stay at the top forever. At some point, you will either get figured out, washed, lose close fights against contenders and champions, and so forth. Now, in this case, let's look at all of Kamaru Usman's losses. He went on a 15-fight win streak in the UFC before losing to Leon Edwards. And if we all remember correctly, Leon was losing 4-1 heading into the fifth. That was until he landed that head kick. I prefer not to refer to it as a fluke because that's disrespectful to Leon Edwards. He's always had that in his arsenal. He landed it on Bilal Muhammad, Pawel Polak, Rafael dos Anjos. Islam even shared this sparring story about Leon Edwards before he became champ, where his coach told him to watch out for Leon's roundhouse, which prompted Islam to take Leon down instead. So we have to give Leon credit for that performance. He was the better fighter that night. Now, in the third fight, it was actually pretty underwhelming because they both had to resort to cheating. There wasn't that much damage dealt. The deciding factor was control time and takedowns, and I just don't see myself going back to that fight. But Leon was the victor, and it wasn't highly contested. Now, moving on to his next performance against Khamzat Chimaev. Some people thought that Kamaru was the rightful winner. A few even cried robbery right after it happened. To be fair, they do that after every close fight. But as time went on, less people were contesting the decision. But to this day, there's still some people that believe that Kamaru Usman was the rightful winner. And I'm not entirely mad at them for that because it was a draw on one of the judges' scorecards. Every single one of them scored the first round 10-8. And when you look at the judging criteria, it's pretty hard to say that this wasn't the right call. As entertaining as 10-8 rounds can be, ironically at least, they do increase the likelihood of draws and majority decisions, and that's why Khamzat won via majority decision. I personally gave him rounds 1 and 3. I would have argued 10-9 for the first round, but according to the judging criteria, it has to be a 10-8 because Kamaru didn't have any success whatsoever. There was a clear advantage, and it was favoring Khamzat. And then in the third fight, I felt like Khamzat was able to do more damage. He landed the hardest strike of the entire round. If you remember correctly, there was a point where they simultaneously threw jabs, and Khamzat's one clearly did more damage. He was also able to take down Kamaru after 2 failed takedown attempts, but he wasn't really able to do much with it, so I couldn't really use this to argue that he won the round, and that's why 2 of the judges scored it for Kamaru. The simple fact that the fight was competitive just shows that Kamaru is not completely out of it. He performed way better than Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis combined, 2 fighters who are arguably still in their prime. Moving on to his performance against Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I thought Buckley was either going to win via dominant decision or most probably knock Kamaru out. I just looked at the age. He is 38 years old. You just don't see that many welterweights having success that late in their career. But boy, oh boy, was I wrong. He was landing singles, doubles. The control time was just so damn unbearable. It was one of those fights where if Kamaru was able to take him down, he would control him for the rest of the round. And that's exactly what he did. And it's not like he wasn't doing anything with the takedowns. He was landing some ground and pound, be it elbows and punches. And at times, it looked very thudding. Buckley did have some success blitzing, landing short hooks as well as kicks, and in the 5th round he was able to actually steal it because he somehow developed takedown defense, but for the most part it was an Usman domination. He won 4 out of the 5 rounds. which is very impressive for me, especially at that age, and also considering the prospect he was going up against. So was Kamaru Usman washed? Theoretically, biologically, he is. But performance-wise, I just don't think we can make that argument. But maybe his next fight might say otherwise. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.